My name is Doree Bryant, and I'm the Supervisor of Human Services for the Village of Schaumburg. The Village recognizes that one of our community's most valuable resources is its senior citizens. That's one of the reasons we help sponsor so many programs and activities for this population. One of these is the Barn Senior Program, located at 231 South Civic Drive, which provides a daily nutritious lunch along with fun and fellowship. Some of our seniors from the barn are here today to share their thoughts and observations on how things have changed in society and our culture over the course of their lifetimes. Their wisdom is something we can all learn and benefit from. Let's hear what they have to say.
We'd like to welcome you to the seniors from the Barn of Schaumburg in our monthly panel discussion. And at this time, we're going to take a step into the back memories of Chicago. I'd like to introduce our panel at this time. Joe?
My name is Joe Morelli. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. We came to the Chicago area when I was 5 in 1935. And I lived at Grand, Milwaukee, and Halsted.
Okay, Eleanor?
I'm Eleanor Shantz. I was born in Chicago around Belmont and Western, and it was a very nice neighborhood.
My name is Penny Dietz. I was born and raised in Chicago, and I lived on the northwest side in Ashland, Lincoln, and Belmont.
My name is Sue D'Amico. I was born in Chicago, and I lived off of Clark Street and Clark Street and Chicago Avenue, and right near Holy Name Cathedral. And that's where I went to school when I was young.
And I'm Lori Candle. I'm the foreigner in the group. I was born and brought up in Brooklyn, New York, lived in New York and New Jersey, and moved to the Midwest in 1969. We're going to delve into our childhood and think of things of the past. But Chicago has a very, very colorful history, and maybe just refreshing our memory on that, I think it will enliven our discussion. We know that Jean-Baptiste de Sable settled at the mouth of the Chicago River where he had a trading post, and that was the beginning of Chicago. And then events took place when he left. Fort Dearborn was built on the site of his trading home. From there, we know about the massacre that took place and has gone down in the history of Chicago, with the only survivors was John Kinsey and his family. The Great Chicago Fire is something that is memorable and has had a great effect upon the life of Chicago. In fact, it was there at that time, the first motto that Chicago had was born, "I will," or "we will." And the culmination of that was Chicago's World Columbian Exposition in 93, when we showed the world that Chicago was a great city. And it was a city of communities. It was a city of neighborhoods. It was a city of where immigrants came, made their home, and all of us here, except myself, were part of this particular growth. And one of the things that was very indicative of Chicago was its neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods, there were about 228 neighborhoods in Chicago. And each one of them had their own either ethnic, cultural backgrounds. And it changed over the years. And as we were discussing recently, it began to fall apart as being a neighborhood, but became a location. And I think, Susie, you mentioned some of the neighborhoods that were ethnic. Could you mention some of those?
I know that Taylor Street was an ethnic place for the Italian families. And in my neighborhood, which was on Armitage and Armitage and Sedgwick Street in Lincoln, in that area, it was the Assyrian families that lived there. It was a great big apartment building there that several of the families were in that area. And that's the area I came from. We were just down the street from the big building where everybody else lived, but everybody seemed to gather together when anything happened. Anything was together. I don't remember much of any of the other nationalities other than the Italian and the Assyrians.
Well, I know there were Polish neighborhoods,
right,
and there were Bohemian neighborhoods, and many of them clustered together. Where did you come from, Penny?
I came from the northwest side of Chicago, which was kind of a mixed neighborhood. We didn't have any one particular denomination.
Okay, and what streets were the intersections there?
That was Lincoln, Belmont, and Ashland.
Okay. And Eleanor?
Yeah, I was close to Belmont and Western.
And what type of a neighborhood was that?
Mostly German.
Okay, there is another nationality that we have.
In my neighborhood, around Grand, Milwaukee, and Halsted, the Chicago Commons was there, where Jane Addams.
Oh,
She was there for a while after the other place she had on near the Taylor Street, and it was mostly Italian, Polish. It was everybody: Italian, Polish, Irish. We had a mixture of different kind of people, and everybody was real nice.
What were some of the qualities that you found in the neighborhoods that you grew up? What was the social climate there?
By social climate, you mean?
Did the people get along together?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All ours did, yeah.
Yes.
Did you feel safe going out in the
Always.
neighborhood?
Oh, we could go anywhere we wanted to as far as that goes. Of course, if you did anything wrong, so somebody would always mention it to your mother. She would know about it before you even got home.
Right.
But in the Syrian nationality, it was nice because of the fact that we could speak the language. And it just so happened that I was an interpreter for the people as far as during the war for their stamps and things that they needed in order for them to get their food. I was the interpreter telling them exactly, asking them exactly what their names were and everything, and I was the one that was putting it all down for them because I could speak the language very fluently.
You must have been a teenager at the time.
Yes, I was.
Okay, that was a big job for you at that particular time.
I enjoyed it because I knew the people and I knew what I was doing for them, so I try to help them as much as I possibly can.
That was good. And Joe, you mentioned something about sitting outside and
Not only sitting, sleeping.
Oh.
We used to sleep on our porches and we never locked our doors. And we were able to we lived close to the beaches and Navy Pier, and we would walk like you would, like Sue would. We would walk to the beaches, always with a bunch of people, a bunch of youngsters at 7 and 8 and 9 years old. Think of that.
Well, years ago, don't forget, we didn't have air conditioning. So when you had to sleep, you had to find the coolest place to go. We used to go down to the beach.
Sure.
With the whole family would come down, and my mother would bring blankets and pillows, and we'd lay down on the grass and go to sleep out in the park, out in the beach, just so that we can get the breeze. Otherwise, you never. It was too hot to stay in your apartments.
Right.
that is very true. How about you, Penny?
Well, I remember during the Depression, my father worked for the Park District. He used to water the lawn at night, and we used to go out there with blankets and sleep all the night long, and then in the morning when he was through watering, we'd go home again.
That sounds very, very interesting.
It was.
How about you, Eleanor?
Well, when we were about like 9 and 10, a lot of us girls, we could just walk to Riverview Park, and we were never afraid of anybody that they would take us or anything. And they had 2-cent rides, and we enjoyed being in Riverview on the rides.
That is something of interest. Whenever you hear or speak to people from Chicago, Riverview
Yes.
seems to be the focal point. Do you have any memories of any of the rides that were there?
The
Many
bobs.
of you walked
The
there.
bobs.
The bobs were the best.
The parachute.
What ride do you remember as best?
Oh, the
there?
bobs. I love the bobs. I could go on that 50 times a day. But I did get parachute jump, and it got stuck up on the top. And of course, we sat there and we're looking at the people, but we were wondering if we were ever going to get home.
Oh my!
But it was funny. It was a lot of fun. It was like they say, we can go to Riverview with $10 or $5 in our pockets, and that was a lot of money at that time. And 2-cent rides were really great.
Yeah.
And Penny, what was your favorite ride there?
Probably the merry-go-round.
The fortune teller.
But I used to do a lot of roller skating at the Riverview rink.
Yeah, we did that too.
Isn't that?
The rinks were on Harlem and Grand. Were there any?
No.
I never remember any rinks.
Riverview had
I never went to that one.
Well, our school did, and the time I went and bought all my children, which were 4 children, I bought them each a pair of skates because the school would go at least once a month and everything. And wouldn't you know it, the next month it burned down. So they never got to use their skates.
What about you, Eleanor? What was your favorite ride?
Oh, the Greyhound. There was so many.
There were a lot.
Yeah.
But the memories are keen. And how about you, Joe?
Well, like I said, the Bobs and the fortune teller.
The water slide.
I used to love the fortune teller.
Now, you said Bob's. Is that short for bobsled?
No. It's a high rise. It's the one that goes all the way around. And
Roller coaster.
Roller coaster.
Yes.
That's what it was. It dipped all the way down, and then it went up, then dipped down again. Your heart was in your mouth.
The Flash.
The Flash.
Huh? The Flash.
Wait, it sounds like
Well, there were so many different rides. There were the water
Ferris wheel, the
water
biggest
slide.
Tilt-a-whirl.
In fact,
Tilt-a-whirl.
Yep.
I have a picture of the water slide with the stamp, with the coupons all the way around the frame that my son gave me as a gift.
Yes.
Oh, what a nice memory.
Yeah, it is.
Now, you said the roller rink burned down. I believe Riverview burned also. But
No, they just closed it.
They just
Yeah.
closed it. They had
okay.
too many problems there, and it wasn't safe anymore for us to send our children there anymore. I mean, the boys used to go all the time together, a whole bunch of them, but they eventually. They were attacked at one time, and the money was taken off of them. So the boys came home. They weren't hurt in any way, but they were poor, and they were upset because they didn't get a chance to do any rides. Changing times, and then since then the boys would never even consider going there.
Well, where else did you walk? I know many of you walked to Riverview. Did you walk to the movie houses or anything?
Oh yeah, there was always one in every neighborhood.
Right.
Okay.
For 10 cents, they were our babysitters. We were in there for 5 hours.
And I think some of you mentioned that they even helped furnish your homes with the dishes,
Right.
and everything else.
Dishes. We had all kinds of different gifts that they used to give us, and certain nights was mystery night or cowboy night, and of course you bought yourself Milk Duds or Mary Janes, and then you sat there for the whole evening eating all that stuff until it was time to go home.
And the movies were constantly running, weren't they?
Yes.
It wasn't a set time, I believe.
No, you could walk in anytime and walk out anytime.
Right.
And one thing, they had ushers who used to give you a seat.
And with the flashlight so you could see the light as you go down the aisle.
Right.
Then we could go to, like we were talking before, the State and Lake, the Oriental, and the Chicago, and we even saw some stage shows. I remember seeing Carmen Caballero.
I remember seeing Frank Sinatra.
Penny, I was there too when I saw Frank Sinatra. In fact, I hate to say it, but I skipped school to go to see Frank Sinatra, and my teacher caught me because my picture was in the paper.
Oh my goodness.
So you see what happens, you know? Isn't that is, they also said that the movie houses were more ornate because in the 19th century, they were building movie houses. They were made of wood. They would burn down. They'd build them up again. They'd burn down. But then I believe it was in 1903, the Iroquois fire that killed about tragic. 603 people. They put in strict codes. And from there, the movie theaters became very ornate, didn't they? Can you remember
They were
one
beautiful.
that was ornate?
The Oriental.
The Oriental was beautiful, and so was the Century Theater down on Clark Street in Diversey. They had a beautiful theater that was just marvelous.
And what were you going to say, Peggy?
I was going to say the Chicago Theater,
Yes.
too,
Oh, yes,
was
yes.
absolutely beautiful.
The Chicago Theater was, to this day, it's beautiful.
I think the architectures all tried
Yeah.
outdoing each other, but it seemed like every time you went to a different show, you saw something different, and it was
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Did any of you see the silent movies there, or are you just a little bit
No.
No,
That was before our time, please.
Oh, that's nice.
now you can watch them on TV.
Right. Okay, so you walked to the movies for entertainment, and that was definitely something to do. How about walking to the parks? Were there any parks?
Oh, yes,
that you
there was
saw?
Lincoln Park, and there was North Avenue Beach and everything. Those were all close to our homes, and
Eckerd
we
Park.
walked to everywhere.
Did
we
you go to
didn't
Eckerd
get a
Park,
ride.
Sue?
Pardon me?
Eckerd Park
Eckerd Park, yeah.
and the Erie Chapel.
Oh, yes.
And how about you, Eleanor? Where'd you walk to? What park?
I think it was North Avenue Beach.
North Avenue Beach.
And you did go swimming there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
okay.
They have a big boat that's out in the front of the beach, and it represents, well, they have the concession there and so forth, you know. So it was really nice to go down at North Avenue Beach. There were a lot of people there, but everybody was real nice to everybody.
Well, you can see that the neighborhoods are really the central part of life in the city. They have changed, but they are still changing and still growing. We're going to take a little break at this time, and we'll be back to continue our discussion. Thank you.